On the news, many feared killed as police opened fire on protesters in Shagamu. President Buhari made security chiefs vow to rout Boko Haram. And Iraq confirms first coronavirus case as death toll hits 7 in Italy. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. An unconfirmed number of people are feared dead as police officers reportedly opened fire on protesters in Shagamu, Ogun State. The protesters, including women and children, stormed the streets to demand justice for Tiamiyu, a footballer with Remo Star, a local football club. Tiamiyu was reportedly killed on Saturday after he was arrested by some policemen attached to the Zonal Intervention Squad on allegations of being an internet fraudster. Meanwhile, the family of the late footballer has refuted preliminary reports released by the Nigeria Police Force on the alleged killing of their son. The police had alleged that Tiamiyu jumped out of the vehicle and was crushed by an oncoming vehicle, while the witness alleged that the footballer was pushed down by the police. In a statement released on Monday, the family urged the Ogun State government to ensure that the killers of the deceased were brought to book. Following Saturday's attacks by Boko Haram insurgents on Garkida, Gombe local government area in Adamawa State, President Muhammadu Buhari has held a special meeting with Nigeria's service chief at the presidential villa in Abuja. Heads of security agencies, including Chief of Defense Staff General Gabriel Olunishakin, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, and the Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Ibok Etwe Ibas were present at the meeting. It comes hours after President Buhari announced that his administration will begin an aggressive campaign to rout Boko Haram once and for all. Condemning Saturday's attacks, Buhari assured Nigerians that no part of the country will be abandoned to their fate. He also noted that since the coming of his administration, Boko Haram's ability to invade and occupy Nigerian territories had been frustrated. And now to politics. The Supreme Court is fixed Wednesday, February 26 to hear the application filed by the All Progressives Congress. The ruling party is seeking, among other things, a review of the February 13th judgment of the Apex Court, which disqualified its candidate David Leon in the November 16, 2019 governorship election in Bayelsa State. In the application filed on Thursday last week by its team of lawyers led by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Wale Olanikweku, the APC asks the Supreme Court to set aside some portions of its judgment. This includes where the court, quote, wrongly held that the Federal High Court disqualified its governorship candidate along with its deputy governorship candidate, and where it held that the joint ticket of its candidates was vitiated by the disqualification of the deputy governorship candidate, and that both candidates were deemed not to be candidates in the election. Still on judicial matters, the Federal High Court in Abuja has struck out charges of non-declaration of assets filed against Ike Ekwuemadu, and that's the former Deputy Senate President, by the federal government. The Special Presidential Investigation Panel for the Recovery of Public Property, SPIP, filed the suit against the senator in 2018. The panel alleged that Ekwuemadu refused to declare his assets according to the procedures prescribed for public office holders, and he sought a temporary forfeiture of the alleged undeclared assets linked to him. In her ruling on Monday, Justice Binta Iyaku struck out the case against Ekwuemadu after Pius Akuta, the prosecuting counsel from the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, said the former lawyer handling the case for the panel had, quote, disappeared with the case file. 22 properties were reportedly traced to the former Deputy Senate President, 9 properties in Nigeria, 2 in the United Kingdom, 8 in Dubai, and 3 in the United States. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the constitution of the National Humanitarian Coordination Committee, NHCC, to oversee all humanitarian actions in Nigeria. Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, announced this in a press statement released on Monday, February 24th. Adesina said the committee will provide a national vision for Humanitarian Actions, advice on coordination between security services and humanitarian actors, and also settle disputes that may arise from interactions between security services and the Humanitarian Committee. The NHCC will be chaired by the Minister, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and the National Security Advisor as co-chairman. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, will inaugurate the NHCC in due course. The House of Representatives Committee has summoned the Minister of Health, Osage Ehanire, Minister of Agriculture, Sabo Nanono, Minister of Trade and Investment, Niyi Adebayo, and Minister of Transportation, Bimisola Saraki, over unaudited accounts. The House Committee Chairman, Wole Oke, told journalists that they were investigating the deliberate and reckless refusal by some government agencies to render the audited accounts from 2014 to 2018. This is coming after the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation indicted them of not submitting reports of the audited account. Okay, said the ministers and the agency heads must appear before the committee with their immediate past management team, their annual budgets and audited accounts covering the period under investigation, or face immediate sanction. Lead Director of the Center for Social Justice, Izzy Onyeperi, has condemned issues of non-remittances contained in the annual report of the Auditor General of the Federation for the year 2017. According to the Auditor General of the Federation, Anthony Aine, some federal government ministries, departments and agencies spent about 26.6 billion naira in 2017 without payments vouchers or requisite approval for such expenditures. The Senate's Public Accounts Committee has since begun probing various MDAs over their indictment in the report. In an exclusive interview with TV360 Nigeria, Izzy Onyeperi urged the federal government to take more decisive steps to ensure that heads of MDAs do not continue to rip off the nation's public treasury.
What has been revealed in the 2017 Federal Audit Report is a litany of woes. And if you compare what happened in 2016, where 160 agencies failed, refused, and neglected to report, and by 2017, the number has blown up to 265, meaning an additional 105. The implication and the message is clear that those who failed to report in 2016, there were no sanctions, there were no consequences. So more and more MDAs joined in 2017 to say, what the heck, reporting? Since there is nothing at stake, nothing will happen if we fail, neglect, and refuse to report. So you've just mentioned a few. What you have is a field day that MDA leaders are simply ripping off the public treasury. You have the DPR, which is to account for about $3 billion, royalties that are outstanding and they are not taking concrete steps to recover. And if you multiply this by the exchange rate, we are talking of over $1 trillion. And you have all kinds of maneuvers, all kinds of withholding revenues due to the Federation account, due to the Consolidated Revenue Fund by MDAs, withholding taxes, value-added tax, and some of them even payee that they are not remitting. So you have all manner of violations. You have monies that are supposed to go straight to the treasury as operating surplus, not even being taken there.
Nigerians have been reacting to the new move by the United States of America, which added Nigeria to a list of countries facing a visa and travel ban. The visa ban, which took effect on Friday, February 21st, comes despite data that Nigerians constitute the most educated migrants in the U.S. In Abuja, Nigerians are divided over the ban, with some criticizing the move and others expressing indifference about it.
It is a wake-up call for the government, the authority here, to put its house in order. Why? Because we have had a series of complaints as to what we need to do to put our house in order, to ensure that our going in and out of Nigeria into the United States is closely monitored. We have so many borders, we have security issues. If we allowed it, America would definitely not allow it. There's a need to put serious checks on those that are coming in and going out of Nigeria.
It's a welcome development to see that we should stay and do work on our country to be like other countries. not to rush to another man's country and live in your country. Some of them go to invest in other people's country, live in our country. We are suffering. We need people who are in authority to do what is good, what is expected of them to do, so that they shouldn't look up to other countries.
Nigeria can remain in Nigeria without going anywhere. We have everything here to survive. A lot of things, a lot of mineral resources, a lot of things. Our country, our leaders, we also use this as a lesson. Other countries like US, England, they taught us what we are doing, but our country is doing different. In their country, there is social benefit, there are unemployment benefit. People are not suffering there. Youth are not suffering there. You wake up, you go to your center every 2 weeks, you collect your dough, your money, pocket money. But in Nigeria, nothing like that. With all these mineral resources, and they're tapping from us a lot of mineral resources to go and equipping themselves. There are people there, but our own, we don't know how to manage our resources.
Former Senator representing Delta North, Ned Nwoko, has been addressing concerns over his plans to fumigate Nigeria to eradicate mosquitoes and malaria. Some had opinions that the aerial fumigation project would be harmful to crops, animals and humans. But speaking at the launch of a magazine to raise funds for less privileged kids, Nwoko allayed their fears. He said the fumigation plan is a highly technological-based one that has been tested over the years in different countries. The Ned Nwoko Foundation is collaborating with the Federal Ministry of Health and other stakeholders on the Fumigate Nigeria project.
There will be aerial fumigation. This is fumigation that will be carried out by aeroplanes across Nigeria. This will be done, let me assure you, this will be done mainly at night time when everybody is asleep, between the hours of 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. And it will be done over a period of time. At least it will take about 2 months to do the entire fumigation, the entire country. Everybody should get ready. If you want to fight malaria, you must start with the killing of mosquitoes. And to do that, we must all get ready. Don't worry if you don't have the money to do it, but the government will come up with some advice and support for that. But for me, this is the solution. This is the only way we can get rid of malaria in Nigeria.
A group of kids in one of Lagos' slum communities, Bariga, are taking over the world through their performing arts. And this is thanks to Seun Awobaju, a theatre act practitioner who inspires creativity in kids through his theatre group, The Footprints of David Art. Our correspondent, Oyin Adekunle, has the rest of the story.
Seun Awobaju has been in the same shoes as these happy-go-lucky children at the very heart of Isale Laje, Bariga. In this community where he was raised, he has been a scavenger and taken up several odd jobs to earn a living and also see himself through school. Here he also found an antidote in the form of art, and this theatre arts practitioner is now helping harness the hidden talents of children in his community through music, dance and drama. In his theatre group, he has created a new life for these kids who would otherwise have been on the streets finding ways to support their families. The band gather under this tent for their rehearsals, and just like martial artists, they sit comfortably on the floor. At the command of their director, they beat the drums with method and precision, echoes of each strike filling the air.
At the beginning, it was, for me, it was more like just doing what I love to do. A lot of kids around there, like you are seeing, they love them clustered around, and at the sound of the drum, they gather, they want to watch. And it's easier for me to show them through dance steps. And perhaps most times, at the beginning then, after the rehearsals, and I discovered that some of them would drop their hawking tray somewhere, then they go back to it and continue hawking.
For Awobaju, the Footprints of David is a community on its own. These children are his family, and he does for them what a parent would do with the support of his wife. He caters for some of the children's academics, feeding, and even accommodation.
So quite a number of them roam around bus stops, the cells and the traffic, and Yes, even some find it difficult to even go to school. So we, by His grace, we were able to help one or two out of their current situation and bring them back to school, revive them to my personal house where I house quite a number of them. Our school, we really do not, badge it a free school. It's called Bright Achiever School, and the school is tuition free.
On this other side, by the waterfront, they sing their hearts out with their instructor, who equally displays some calculated dance moves to the delight of his students. This group, as modest as it may seem, has taken the kids to places in the world they might not have dreamt of visiting their whole lives.
These kids today have performed before a lot of presidents, past presidents, current president of Nigeria, president of France, president of Germany. We've been together to almost 36 states in Europe where we've played our art, and currently we have about 168 of them now in our private school.
Despite how interesting these performances can be, the task can sometimes be so overwhelming, and to be candid, Awobajo has considered taking a bow. But the strong bond that exists between him and the children keeps pulling him back.
The challenge of feeding, the challenge of accommodation, the utility bills, the school, the health, is endless. Currently, we still need a lot of help because as we speak, I really don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow for some of these kids. So we're hoping good Nigerians can show more support.
Ultimately, the goal is to see that these kids have access to quality education and opportunities that can help improve the quality of their lives.
The vision is to raise them from age 6 to 16, and by 16 they are perhaps well informed and equipped to face the world. In this period they will have learned one or two trades. We have a fashion house that we push them to, some into hair making, cobbling, other handiworks, and those who go to school also are schooling with us.
This is about the sixth set of kids the Footprints of David Art is training. Their involvement in performing arts has exposed these kids to a world of potential outside the poverty they face. It also keeps them from indulging in the vices that may come with being idle. We Adekunle, TV360, Lagos.
News Now will be right back after this break. Welcome back. Oyin Adekunle now joins us for business stories.
Thank you very much, Aneta. Nigeria's gross domestic product (GDP) grew by 2.55% year-on-year in the fourth quarter of 2019, and that's the highest since the recession in 2016. This was revealed in the latest report released by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS). The figure shows an increase of 0.17 percentage points compared to the fourth quarter of 2018, which recorded a growth rate of 2.38%. According to the data agency, the GDP growth also represents an increase of 0.27 percentage points when compared with the third quarter of the year under review. A further breakdown of the report shows that the oil sector grew by 6.36% on a year-on-year basis in the fourth quarter, with an average daily oil production of 2 million barrels per day during the quarter. And trade has not been so rosy with Nigeria's West African neighbors since the federal government announced the shutdown of the country's land borders last year in a bid to curb smuggling activities. Recall that last week, President Muhammadu Buhari, while hosting his Burkina Faso counterpart, Mark Christian Kabore last week, revealed that the reopening of borders would be determined by the report from the tripartite committee comprising the governments of Nigeria, Benin Republic, and Niger Republic. Meanwhile, Vice Chairman of the Senate Committee on Customs, Excise and Tariffs, Francis Fadausi, believes that though the economic policy was a step in the right direction, its timing was wrong. Fadausi, who is also a former Assistant Controller General of Customs, added that Nigeria's decision has put both the country and the entire sub-region at a great disadvantage, especially in the area of security.
My own submission then was that it will breed a lot of criminality. Crime will be on the increase. If you look at Diroko, Lagos, Asis, Katsina, and so on, you see that the youth that cross the border, all our borders in a day, that's going in and coming, there are more than 1 million. Because there's no work. But because of one bag of rice being taken by these people, which we should have taken duty on it, you now close the border. And those boys now could not have anything to do again. They must survive. That is why you see the crime that is on the increase. Kidnapping, armed robbery here and there. And I warned them, because I was in charge of border management for 8 years. I warned them that if you close your borders against this youth, one, that you didn't provide for, now that they are sorting themselves out, you close borders against Tokumbo cars. Tokumbo cars are all over Nigeria. How did they come in? That is another question. Now, these are the youth that go in to come to bring in Tokumbo cars. And when they bring it, you collect your duty. One, we are losing on both sides. We don't collect duties. At the same time, the borders are closed against these boys, and these boys are now shooting us up and down.
Take a pause here and return shortly after this break. Please stay tuned. The Nigerian bulls opened the week bearish, continuing on the losing streak from last session. Today, the all-share index, which opened at 27,388 basis points, closed negative by 1.27% to close at 27,041 basis points. And that's just the very tip of the 27,000 benchmark. And consequently, investors lost 181 billion naira due to profit-taking activities. The biggest losers today were led by Julius Berger with a reversal of gains from previous session to depreciate by 1 naira and 60 kobo in the value of its share price, and it's trailed by Nigeria Breweries, which made more losses from selling at 48 naira 45 kobo in previous session to 47 naira per share as at the close of trading today. Also, Guarantee Trust Bank and Cadbury could not manage to keep their heads above water, witnessing sell-offs to the tune of 1 naira 14 kobo, and that's an equivalent of 13.65% when combined. And in summary today, market breadth was very weak, with 33 losers against just 33 losers versus 5 gainers. So when we look at the top performers today, mainly small cap equities, and we see that it's not so hard to understand why the market fell today, because these small equities, their gains could not bear the weight of the sell pressure and negative sentiments in the market. The gainers were led by Law Union and Rock Insurance PLC, May and Baker from the health sector, selling at selling lower today, or rising, I beg your pardon. May and Baker 1 naira 87 kobo selling today. And moving on, we see Sterling Bank as well as Linkage Assurance PLC also closing in the greens today, but little or no impact for the market despite all of that. But in summary, we see that the value of trade surged by over 2 billion naira from previous session, and that's from deals that exchange hands in 4,533 deals. Moving on now to the foreign scene. It's all bearish on the foreign scene. So FTSE is deep in the red as Italian death toll from coronavirus continues to rise, and we see how the same sentiments played out for both the Dow Jones and Nikkei, all closing in the reds today. And that's it from here. Aneta, it's back to you.
Thanks, Oyi. Moving on now, Iraq has confirmed its first novel coronavirus infection in an Iranian national studying in the southern shrine city of Najaf. The country often hosts pilgrims and religious students from Iran, where 12 people have died since a coronavirus outbreak was first reported last week. This is coming after Iraq had blocked travel to and through the Islamic Republic. Najaf's public provincial health authority said the Iranian national had entered before the ban was declared. Meanwhile, the death toll from the coronavirus in Italy has risen to 7. Italy reported its first death from the coronavirus outbreak on February 21st, 2020. Togo's National Electoral Commission has declared that President Faure Gnassingbe has been re-elected for a 4th term. According to the preliminary results from the commission on Monday, the incumbent leader took 72% of the vote share in the first round of the presidential election, ahead of his closest rival and former Prime Minister Abayomi Kojo with 18%. The final results are expected to be announced by the Supreme Court in coming days. And now to sports. The Commonwealth Games Federation Executive Board has approved India to host the archery and shooting events at the 2022 Commonwealth Games 6 months before the main event in Birmingham. The proposal was put forward by India, who threatened to boycott Birmingham 2020 after shooting was excluded. Both events will take place in Chadha in January 2020, with the main games from 27 July to 7th August. And that's it on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. Thanks for watching.